I feel like I need to apologize because we should have already had an ABCs of shoujo manga, but I kept waiting because I wanted to read and review this one manga, but things got hectic and then I didn't. And I'm like, you know what? We just gotta film this video and talk about some shoujo manga. Hello there, my name is Laura A. Grace, and I am a writer and reviewer here at Beneath the Tangles, and I'm so very excited that you're here. We are continuing the ABCs of shoujo manga video series. I know I've been really slow, friends, and I deeply apologize. If you'd like to start from the beginning, here is the playlist here. Basically, each month, or trying to each month, find 3 to 4 different shoujo manga that start with a certain letter. I started with the letter A, and now we are on the letter I. And if you'd like to see the last video, definitely check out here as well, where we feature titles that start with the letter H, and it was really hard because there were some really good ones that were my favorites. Both each video, I try to feature at least 3 physical manga and 1 digital manga because I know there's so many more options available for digital manga now and don't want to do just physical. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because I have 3 different physical picks, and I guess we'll go ahead and talk about the one that I really wanted to read and review first, and that is Ion. This is a one-shot shoujo manga by Arina Tanemura. I have not read any of her other works, but I really want to read them. Like, I was thinking about doing a week-long just readathon of just her works because her art is so very beautiful. I don't remember when this first came on my radar. It was before I was looking for volumes that start with the letter I, but it sounded really, really interesting to me because it has a little bit of a superhero vibe. Not sure if that's 100% accurate to say, but this girl here, her name is actually Ion, and she will chant her name I-O-N when she's hoping to have some good luck in her life. Well, somebody actually comes and discovers what she does. Oh, is the president of the Psyche Powers Research Society, and she ends up, when she goes and visits, I guess she touches this mysterious substance, and now she has telekinesis powers. So that is sort of her journey in this story, and since I believe this is a romance, you gotta have some romance thrown in there, and I was skim reading right before this video, and I'm like, he's so cute, he's so adorable, and it seems like a very fun and sweet story. The art style is just so absolutely beautiful and just breathtaking. She seems like a very fun heroine, and I always enjoy when we have those kind of like spunky heroines that aren't afraid to go and be brave, make sometimes dangerous decisions, because there was one moment where a log's about to fall on a child. I think it was actually that moment. Yeah, and she just steps in and goes and rescues this child when onlookers were unsure of what to do. I really appreciate heroines like that, and I'm sure there's other moments, and here's some other art that's just super cute. I totally agree, and she's cute. She is. Like, all the characters are really cute. Like the guy, I guess, yeah, I mean, I feel the guy's pretty cute too. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. I found a grumpy picture of him. Here we go. Here, right here on the sidebar. And I love how we have these sidebars. I do miss that in the new manga, that we don't get these sidebars like we did in the older manga. And this is an older title. I'm not sure when it was released, but I did make sure to check online that it was still in stock because it's no fun when you get recommendations for out-of-print manga, even though it's really, really good. Okay, it looks like this was published in 2008. And again, there are copies available online. This is also available digitally, and with the release of the Viz Media app, this manga is also on there. So if you're interested in checking it out, you have a few different ways to read it. I definitely plan to read it here soon because I love the art style so incredibly much. It's just so beautiful, and I think she's just, like I said, a very fun character. Very much hoping I enjoy this when I actually go to read it. One of my favorite ongoing series from Shoujo B right now is Imakoi, Now I'm in Love. I love Yagyu and Satomi. They have such a beautiful, wholesome, special relationship that's very, I was going to say very slow burn, but I don't think it's slow burn, but it's not fast either. It's just everyday kind of life things that go on in them just growing closer together. In fact, in the latest volume, the manga creator said that they act like a middle-aged married couple, and it's so true, but it's part of why I love them so incredibly much. Satomi, our main girl here, she is in high school, and she is bummed that when she was in middle school, she never confessed her feelings to the crush that she had on this one young man. So she decides that when she starts liking one boy, that she will finally confess her feelings to them in high school. Well, Yagyu saves her from a very awkward and uncomfortable situation on the train, and she ends up confessing, hey, I like you, and he's sort of taken aback, and she thinks, well, nothing's gonna come from this. They actually find out that they go to the same school, and he's like, okay, I'll get to know you to see if I want to, be your boyfriend. And so begins their very wholesome and sweet love story. I cannot gush about how sweet their story is. They have some great humor in the way that they just respect one another, how they make an effort to always communicate what they like, what they don't like, and taking a chance of just getting to know the other person. The art is also very, very great. I've appreciated in this series that you don't have to worry about any love triangles. You don't have to worry about any drama from miscommunication because they're making those efforts and those leaps to always be open with one another. That's not to say that they don't sometimes have misunderstandings. Like in the recent volume, Sarami is afraid that Yagyu is embarrassed by a certain conversation and speaks up really fast, and it makes it look like she does not want the outcome that they're talking about. And Yagyu's actually hurt by that, but she's like, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. So I feel like there's always an apology that may be quick to follow within that volume. So you know that if there's any hurt feelings or anger, it's not going to be drawn out. I cannot recommend this cozy romance high school series enough. It's so beautiful. I was so excited and so thankful to feature it today because it's just, oh, it's so, so good. Another series I deeply love, though I do need to catch up on because I haven't read the latest volume, and that is I Swear I Won't Bother You Again, the manga. I believe this is a shoujo and a josei. I do know it's a shoujo, but I couldn't find what magazine this was in, but everybody kept saying, hey, it's a shoujo. I love this manga. The cover, I very vividly remember being in the bookstore, seeing the cover, and I'm like, it's just so pretty. It's just so pretty that I need to check it out. Little did I know that this was actually become one of my favorite series. I think when I read this volume 2 years ago, I think, because the release dates have been very, very slow. I'm so thankful volume 4 is coming out this year, but I loved it so much. Was in my top 10 of favorite things I had read that year. Very wonderful story, and it follows our main girl. Her name is Violetta. This is not necessarily a shoujo isekai. It's more of a, I guess, a time travel, because Violetta has had some things that happen, and she has a deep grudge against her, I think it's her half-sister, not her stepsister. Yeah, half-sister Mary June. And so at the beginning of this manga, Violetta is basically about to lose her life, and so she cries out to God that if she could just go back, she would not make the same decisions, and her prayer has been answered. Rewind, I think it's a year prior before everything unfolds, and she is given a second chance to actually avoid Mary June, and that's part of the title of I Swear I Won't Bother You Again. That's the vow she makes to herself. She's like, I'm just gonna go be a nun, don't have to deal with this, there's no worry of me dying. But the problem is that these guys who didn't like her, well, except for one year prior, now they have sort of surround her. I'm not saying this is a harem. I definitely don't feel it is. If anything, it's more with volume 2, it sort of felt like a little bit of a love triangle, but I wasn't really vibing with that because I ship one character so hard. He's so great. All of the characters are really good, and I've really enjoyed seeing Violetta with the changes she has made in her life and how things are just not going according to her plan. She's not going to be able to go be a nun so easily. Things are different now because she's making much better decisions and much nicer decisions than she did 1 year prior. It's another beautiful manga, and I was going to show all the different characters on the back. I like all of them, but the prince, like, no. Sorry if anybody really likes the prince. I do apologize. Here's a good page of 2 of the guys. I feel like the art's just very beautiful, very clean. It's a very engaging story. I really like the time travel aspect and having that second chance. Again, just seeing things not unfold the way that she wants them to. I feel bad as a reader, but that's why we read, because when characters make plans, they're like, we're gonna go do this, and it doesn't pan out. This is actually my favorite male character. He is so sweet. He's a precious little being. I'm cheering for him. I'm cheering for him. So there's a few different guys, though like I said, it's not a harem because this guy is not a love interest by any means from what I've read so far. Hopefully that does not change. While I'm definitely interested in the romance, I'm very much here seeing what is Violetta going to do, because Mary June is pretty attached to this new Violetta, and Violetta's very worried about that Mary June is attached to her and not leaving her alone like she wants her to, even though she's not rude about it. But internally we see Violetta's thoughts and her comments of like, please don't come this way. Don't eat lunch with me. Please go elsewhere. It's very, very good. Another series I would strongly recommend if you enjoy sort of that isekai vibe, but it's time travel instead. No harems here, or no reverse harems, I should have been saying, as well as a strong female character who I feel like is very admirable, despite that she may not feel she is, and she is sort of more, I wouldn't say she's fearful and she's not ignorant, but she's really really like, I just want to be left alone. I just want to be left alone, but not in a rude way. Very much enjoyed it. Can't wait for volume 4 to release. I feel like I can finally read volume 3 because with volume 2, I learned my lesson. I'm like, I'm not waiting 6+ months or 8+ months, I think it was, almost a year for the next volume. I'm going to take my time and read it before the next release. But now I can actually dive in, see what's happening with these characters, because we do have a few new royalty characters, I believe, stepping on the page. So it should be really interesting and definitely recommend it. For my digital manga recommendation, I am so excited to recommend this. I feel it is deeply underrated, and that is I'm in Love and It's the End of the World. This manga stole my heart earlier this year. I believe I read it when I had COVID back in January. It was so heart-moving. I cried when reading this. It's very, very beautiful as well. Like, the artwork is gorgeous. It's about this girl. She is a twin, and she feels like whatever good thing happens, like any good luck, there will always be bad luck that follows. She feels like she's always in the shadows of her very beautiful twin sister. Like when our main girl, I can't remember her name, but when she ends up liking one boy, like a boy in general, she feels like her sister, if they meet them, she's going to unknowingly steal them away from her. And she just feels like she's just stuck being in the shadows, and she'll never have like sort of this happy ending. Like, she's actually really, I wouldn't say negative, but I would say that the beginning was really hard for me to get through. Not because it was bad, but because it was so crushing seeing this young woman sort of degrade herself, where she feels like nothing good is going to come her way. And then when good comes her way, because she meets a young man who's very interested in her, she doesn't know much about him, but by the end of the day, he's already asking, will you be my girlfriend? And she's like, what is this? And she's so paranoid and so fearful that this is all just a dream, or bad luck's going to quickly follow. And she is just so terrified. She's so terrified of wanting good things for herself and seeing good things unfold for her life personally. So it was hard in that regard, because I just didn't want her to be so downcast. But that's part of the beauty of this series, is that these two young people come together. They're in this relationship. They have some ups and downs. There is a little bit of misunderstandings that happen, and he's not the brightest crayon in the box. He's definitely not dumb, but there was one part where I'm just like, I feel like it's very realistic for his character. I'm just like, why are you making these kind of decisions? Like, you're hurting our main girl even worse. But they come together, they communicate. It was very beautiful. It's such a lovely romance, and I feel like it's just a very deep one at that, and the issues that not issues, but the seeing not just the romance and how there's depth to that, and how these characters are hurting from past decisions and things that have been done to them or that affected them, but also the twin sisters. That was a very beautiful part of this story that I did not expect to get emotional about, because it definitely, with things that are happening, how we view things through the heroine's eyes, the twin sister doesn't seem exactly the best, but then things come out. Communication is always key, and I love when we actually get it and we see things, because all that hurt and that pain is coming out, and we're seeing the actual motivations that these characters have. And even if it's not the best of motivations, it's so rewarding seeing healing and reconciliation take place in a romantic way and a platonic way between siblings. Cannot recommend it enough. I love it so much, and I really need to go back and reread it and do reviews on Reader's Corner, because I feel like this is just one of those series that touches you and impacts you and just stays with you. I may not fully remember the beginning since I was really sick, but I still remember volume 6 or volume 5, the final volume, of how moving it was and how I cried when I read it. It was so very beautiful, and I'm like, these characters are so precious and so very beautiful. I desperately wish that this was printed. I don't think it ever will be, but I would love to see physical prints of it, because it's just that moving and beautiful of a story. Cannot recommend that one enough, and apparently I could not recommend these volumes enough in general. I really wish I had read Ion beforehand so I could do the same amount of gushing, but I'm very much looking forward to reading it. And if you've read it or any of these other creators' work or any of these titles, please don't hesitate to let me know what are some other letters that you know that start, or other series that you know start with the letter I. I was going to feature In the Clear Moonlit Dust, because that is a wonderful and amazing shoujo series. I'm like, well, let's feature some other ones that need some spotlight as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!